Central Iran, 62 kilometers northeast of Isfahan, 3:30 in the morning. 96 U.S. Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment were lying flat on the rocky slopes above Iran's most protected uranium storage facility. Below them, the complex was fully lit, fully guarded, and completely surrounded by fences and armed towers. Inside that facility, 410 Iranian soldiers were protecting 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium, sealed inside 20 armored cylinders, stored in an underground vault. U.S. intelligence had confirmed the location 3 weeks earlier. The Rangers had trained for this mission for 2 weeks. Tonight, they had one job: go in, take the uranium, and get out before Iranian reinforcements arrived from Isfahan. The facility was built to be impossible to attack. 2 fences surrounded the entire complex, with a lit kill zone between them, covered by 14 heavy machine guns. On the rooftops, 6 anti-aircraft guns had been repositioned to fire at ground level, protecting the perimeter from any assault force. Underground, the Iranians had installed blast doors every 40 meters, with firing positions built into the walls and cameras covering every corridor. The guards protecting this facility were not regular soldiers. They were IRGC veterans with years of combat experience, trained specifically to hold this site until reinforcements could arrive. The Rangers had 90 minutes before that could happen. The assault was divided into 4 teams. Alpha Team, 28 Rangers, would destroy the power supply and cut communications. Bravo Team, 32 Rangers, would breach the main gate and clear the surface buildings. Charlie Team, 24 Rangers. He would go underground and fight their way directly to the vault. Delta Team, 12 Rangers, would take positions on the ridgeline above the facility with machine guns and recoilless rifles to stop any Iranian reinforcements from reaching the site. At 3:40 in the morning, the operation began. Alpha Team reached the transformer yard first. 2 Rangers placed thermite charges on the main power junction, while a second pair set an explosive charge on the fiber optic cable running into the security building. The Iranian guards in the nearest tower were watching the roads outside the fence, not the shadows moving inside their own lights. At 3:42, the thermite ignited. White-hot sparks poured across the transformer yard and the perimeter lights went out. In the same second, the explosive charge destroyed the communications cable. The backup generators brought the lights back within 30 seconds, but the damage was done. Cameras had frozen. Radios were dropping in and out. Alarms started going off in different locations at the same time, and the Iranian commanders inside had no clear picture of what was happening. Bravo Team hit the main gate at 3:43. 2 explosive charges detonated at the base of the gate, bending the steel barrier just enough to push through. The explosion was loud and sharp. Rangers moved through the gap immediately, sweeping in fire teams with rifles raised, clearing left and right as they entered the compound. 18 Iranian guards came out of the administration building running toward the gate, rifles up, trying to create a crossfire across the entrance lane. Tracers cut through the dark in both directions. The Rangers did not slow down. The 2 machine gun bursts hit both corner positions at once, forcing the guards to take cover. A 4-man team moved up under that covering fire and reached the administration building entrance. Flashbang grenades went in first. The room was cleared in 12 seconds. At 3:45, Charlie Team reached the emergency stairwell on the north side of the facility. The door was reinforced steel with a keypad lock. A breacher placed a shaped charge at hinge height and detonated it. The door blew inward, and Charlie Team went down the stairs at a run. The underground was different from the surface. The air was warmer and stale. Every sound echoed. The lights down here were still working, and the Iranian guards had already heard the explosions above them. At 3:47, 2 anti-aircraft gun crews on the rooftops turned their weapons toward the surface breach and opened fire. The 23mm guns fired in bursts, tearing into the concrete around the gate area and threatening to cut the surface corridor in half. Delta Team on the ridgeline engaged immediately. A Carl Gustaf recoilless rifle fired 1 round into the nearest gun pit. The explosion destroyed the gun and scattered the crew. The second gun tried to turn and find a new target, but sustained machine gun fire from 2 M240B positions forced the crew off the weapon within seconds. Both guns were silenced at 3:49. Underground, Charlie Team reached the first blast door at 3:52. A shaped charge punched the locking mechanism and the door blew inward. The team moved through and continued down the corridor. The 2 Iranian guards were waiting around the next corner, using a concrete pillar as cover. They were firing AK rifles down the corridor at the approaching Rangers. A fragmentation grenade rolled along the floor and detonated behind the pillar. The firing stopped. The team moved past without pausing. On the surface, Bravo team had the administration building fully secured by 4:05. Rangers searching the security office found a locked safe. A breacher opened it with an explosive strip. Inside were printed maps, convoy schedules, and a folder containing 6 pre-planned escape routes with assigned vehicles. The Iranians had a plan to move the uranium out of the facility. The Rangers had arrived before that plan could be used. At 4:12, the 64 Iranian soldiers from a barracks 2 kilometers to the west began moving toward the facility in 2 trucks with mounted machine guns and 3 armored pickup vehicles. Delta team saw them first. The trucks came down the road at high speed and entered the ridgeline kill zone at 4:15. The lead truck took a long burst from an M240B that tore through the engine block. The vehicle swerved off the road and stopped. The second truck accelerated to get past the wreck, but a Carl Gustav round hit the hood directly. The explosion stopped it immediately. The armored pickups behind them braked, and the Iranian soldiers dismounted, trying to advance on foot through the ditches along the road. They were moving into 2 machine guns with prepared firing positions on high ground. The advance stalled within minutes. The Iranian soldiers dug in on the road and returned fire with PKM machine guns and RPGs, but they could not move forward against the firepower on the ridgeline. At 4:20, Charlie team reached the vault entrance. A security desk sat in front of a heavy steel door. 2 guards were at the desk. One of them was already reaching for a hardwired alarm handset on the wall. Charlie team engaged both guards, and the alarm handset was pulled from the wall before any signal left the room. A linear explosive charge was placed along the door seam and detonated. The door blew inward. The vault corridor was 30 meters long and heavily defended. 36 Iranian guards were waiting behind sandbagged positions and steel shelving that had been turned into barricades. These guards were not trying to push back. They were trying to hold the corridor long enough for someone on the surface to trigger a dispersal order or destroy the vault contents. The Rangers did not give them time for either. Machine gun fire suppressed the nearest position, while a 4-man team pushed through a side access hatch in the wall. They came out behind the first barricade and cleared it. The second position tried to fall back, but the corridor gave them nowhere to go. A smoke grenade blocked their view. A C4 charge opened a new entry point through the maintenance wall. Rangers flooded through from the side, and the barricade collapsed. At 4:40, Charlie team reached the vault door. It was the heaviest door in the facility, built to withstand explosions and resist any attempt to force it. A shaped charge was placed directly on the locking mechanism. The explosion punched the lock free. 2 Rangers pushed the door inward. Inside the vault, 20 shielded uranium cylinders sat in steel cradles along the walls. Each cylinder had a stenciled serial number and weighed approximately 20 kilograms. The air inside was cool and controlled. Rangers began the inventory immediately. Every serial number was photographed, every seal was checked, every cylinder was verified against the intelligence list before anything was moved. At 4:43 in the morning, 63 minutes after the operation began, all 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium were under American control. Extraction teams moved the cylinders out through the stairwell, 4 Rangers per cylinder, up to the surface and into waiting armored vehicles. The Iranian force on the road outside was still pinned by Delta team and unable to break through. By 5:10 in the morning, all 20 cylinders were loaded and secured. Demolition charges were placed on the vault's electrical controls and secure storage systems. At 5:15, the charges detonated. The vault's locking systems and storage infrastructure were destroyed. The facility could not be used for secure uranium storage again. The convoy left the area at 5:20 in the morning. Delta team held the ridgeline until the vehicles were clear, then withdrew to their extraction point. All Ranger teams were out of the area by 6 o'clock in the morning. U.S. Army casualties were 1 Ranger killed and 7 wounded, all treated in the field or evacuated. By Iranian casualties included 89 soldiers killed and 31 captured during the surface fighting and underground corridor battles. 2 mounted machine gun trucks were destroyed. Both roof-mounted anti-aircraft guns were eliminated. 6 pre-planned uranium dispersal routes were seized along with convoy schedules and vehicle assignments. 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium were removed from Iranian control, accounted for by serial number, and transported out of Iranian territory. The vault Iran had spent years building to protect its most valuable nuclear material was destroyed in 90 minutes by 96 U.S. Army Rangers who went in, took what they came for, and left before the reinforcements arrived.